I got a job, firstly, in the financial field. So I got a good year and a half's exposure of that. जिसमें मेरी traveling भी हो रही थी, and that was interesting because I enjoyed the traveling part, not the work at all. I cared a damn about the work, but the traveling part was fun. फिर उसके बाद जो है I worked in the Karachi market in sales and marketing of a frozen meat product. तो उसमें भी it was a very interesting exposure to working with a team of people who were working with retailers और उन retailers के साथ किस तरह पैसा आ रहा है जा रहा है या कौन क्रेडिट में है कौन नहीं है किसको जाके कौन ज़्यादा सख्ती से बोल रहा है और इस तरह की सारी चीज़ें जो चल रही थी this is like my integration into my Pakistani life जिसमें which I never got an exposure to that before.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Box.
This was my first exposure to Pakistan. फिर उसके बाद यही हुआ कि लेकिन मैं अंदर अंदर हर वक्त यही सोचता था यार मुझे कंटेंट में किस तरह आना है कंटेंट में किस तरह आना है हाउ डू आई मेक दैट व्हेन डू आई क्विट दिस जॉब एंड व्हेन डू आई मेक दैट जंप और उस वक्त कराची में भी मैं रह रहा था इट कुड हैव बीन मच ईजियर फॉर मी टू मेक दैट जंप वाइल्स लिविंग ओवर देयर फिर then I went to film school. There was a film school that had started in Karachi. I went for evening classes whilst doing my job. So that was my first like little step that I took. 2-3 दोस्त बने कुछ लोगों को मैं समझना शुरू किया कि अच्छा लोग क्या कर रहे हैं उस वक्त जो है 2-3 लोग उसी ग्रुप में से जो है कोक स्टूडियो में भी चले गए उधर काम कर रहे थे इधर काम कर रहे थे कुछ लोग अपनी फिल्में बना रहे हैं ये सारा कुछ चल रहा था तो आई ऑलवेज सॉ अच्छा ठीक है देयर इज़ पोटेंशियल दैट आई कैन डू समथिंग फिर अचानक वी शिफ्टेड टू लाहौर ठीक है and when we as a family shifted to Lahore then again I was like God knows what I'm going to do how am I going to do what am I going to do फिर randomly ये Mangobaaz वाली चीज़ सामने आ गई I applied started working over there तो उसमें I just think कि किस्मत played a good hand कि that opportunity came and I sort of finally made that jump and now I am sort of in middle of things.
And I think Yasser also has like वो जो आप बात कर रहे थे ना कि when you work with brands and like there's a certain element of they want like a certain story. I've seen him work at Mangobaaz. I feel like he is very good at that as well. कि understanding what people want and then delivering and like adding his own element to it also. I think he's very good at. So इसकी वो sense भी
आप भी low key fan लग रही हैं.
So नहीं
मेरा तो दोस्त है वो.
now that you're saying that देखा ना वो जो exposure let's say for instance working in Karachi would have probably helped me also.
Yeah.
जो कि you don't think of it consciously लेकिन subconsciously ये सारी experiences आपको help करती हैं.
नहीं ये बहुत एक पिटी हुई एग्जांपल है बट वही जो मैक एप्पल प्रोडक्ट्स इतने वो डिज़ाइन ओरिएंटेड क्यों थे क्योंकि स्टीव जॉब्स टुक लाइक अ कैलीग्राफी कोर्स और समथिंग इन कॉलेज एज एन एड आई मीन ये बहुत पिटी हुई एग्जांपल लोग देते रहते हैं तो बट yeah so he said that later on that design element
outlook towards what design should be
that was like a 2 credit hour 3 credit hour course which impacted like the tech he put out so I don't know I just wanted to give that example.
यासिर आपकी इजाज़त हो तो हम शादी की बात कर सकते हैं.
शादी अच्छा चलती
अच्छा
very random though.
I know right like और अभी मेरे ध्यान में ये आ रहा है हमने कंटेंट की बात कर ली काम की भी बात कर ली और
कंटेंट की और बातें करते हैं. I really like content. थोड़ा सा और कंटेंट को एक्सप्लोर कर ले क्योंकि मैंने बीच में I know I did so much random blabbering ना नहीं there is some random blabbering which you asked me some question and I went somewhere else I think which I always do. So guys don't mind I know that.
अगर वो इधर उधर होता है हम खुद तुम्हें वापस लेके आते
नहीं भी enjoy
कंटेंट के बारे में कुछ थोड़ा सा और प्रोब करते हैं.
अच्छा जी आई थिंक मेरे जहन में कंटेंट तो आजकल सियासी कंटेंट ही है फिर से ये भी नहीं. अच्छा आप किस कंटेंट के बारे में बात करें फिल्में किस तरह की देख रहे हो पाकिस्तान के कंटेंट के बारे में आर यू वाचिंग एनी ड्रामास दीस डेज?
On and off sometimes I watch one थोड़ा सा binge कर लिया and then I'm off of it. वो ही वाली चीज़ है कि I just keep up just to sort of know what's happening not because I've actually then I again I hate watch certain actors dramas because I'm like यार इस actor का तो definitely drama check करना है and that's fun that's entertainment comedy in itself and I try to keep up as much as I can. Filming obviously I don't get the opportunity these days because we have 2 babies at home and so we barely get a chance to sort of step away from them and go to the cinema. So I'm looking forward to a lot of these films coming on some platforms so that I can see them.
Exactly. मैंने कायदे आज़म जिंदाबाद देखी थी अभी
मुझे देखना था.
I've heard तारीफें सुनी थी
I really liked it.
हाँ
मतलब हाँ
वही मसाला फिल्म, गुड एंटरटेनर टाइप फिल्म
जी
होगी ना.
बिल्कुल
हाँ,
बिल्कुल.
हाँ,
I think if that's what you expect, like we, so a lot of when films started coming out, तो like जो काफी हमारे elitist दोस्त हैं, नहीं यार ये तो क्या है, ये ऐसी movie
नहीं
है,
ऐसी फिल्में ही आनी चाहिए और
Exactly.
आनी चाहिए.
so that we
हजार
exactly,
ऐसी फिल्में ही बस आए.
that-
I don't want artsy stuff in
पहले
Pakistan.
filter तो होने दो,
Yeah.
and then once it's mature enough, इतना सीख लिया, धक्के खा लिया, and then let them deviate and let them do. अभी तो they need to fill cinema houses. They
Yeah.
have to. आपकी जो Bollywood का
जब तक सिनेमा हाउसेस और नहीं खुलेंगे, we will always remain in our revival stage.
Yeah.
Next film, हर फिल्म के बाद we are reviving cinema now.
Please support.
Please support cinema.
लेकिन यासिर अब वो given वो कोविड के बाद and all that, अब लोगों ने direct to platform streams करना शुरू कर दिया. Netflix
ये भी एक phase है. It's everything is always a phase. These things will all coexist. I hope, I would imagine कि they should all coexist. Streaming platforms भी अभी oversaturated हो गया. Netflix is going through a down
Exactly,
period. ठीक
हाँ.
है. वो कह रहे हैं कि यार क्यों सब लोग अपना account sharing कर रहे हो, ये क्या cheating कर रहे हो हमारे साथ, ठीक है.
competitors
वो
बहुत आ गए हैं, like
वही
different
ना,
platforms आ गए हैं.
too many platforms. How many do you subscribe to?
Exactly.
You can't subscribe to all. So then what you end up doing is you have Netflix, you might have Amazon, and then you torrent the rest.
Exactly.
Which is what I do.
Yeah.
So
That's what everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also feel कि कायदे आज़म जिंदाबाद अभी तो तुम लोगों ने नहीं देखी है. मेरा ओपिनियन उसमें ये है कि it's like the perfect film where हम कहते हैं ना आर्ट्सी ट्राई नहीं करनी या कोई heavy message नहीं देना है because वो फिर dark हो जाती हैं. But I feel like this film was like the perfect mixture of an entertaining film with the message as well. Like मुझे बहुत मजा आया उसमें. फहद मुस्तफा इतना कमाल लग रहा है. माहिरा खान है उसमें and like amazing film. मुझे
There's
तो
superstars that we need more of such people.
Yeah.
There's still a handful of superstars in the
Yeah.
country, and we need more to be developed. And we need that entire thing of stardom to actually further be developed. जिस तरह I always give the example कि यार Bollywood में let's say for instance the 80s and 90s and then the 2000s, really the way that they built their industry in those times is what you're seeing now today.
Exactly.
जो उन्होंने उस वक्त जो मेहनत की है, वो सिनेमा हाउसेज जितने सारे वहाँ पे बने हैं, उसका अब रिजल्ट नज़र आ रहा है कि the way that they even have a paparazzi full industry, you know, and यहाँ पे तो हमारे खुद celebrities अपने आप को spotted करवाते हैं. So you know, until and unless that entire industry doesn't take off properly, we will always be talking about trying to revive it, or always talking about गवर्नमेंट जो है हमें सपोर्ट करें और हमें सपोर्ट नहीं देती है गवर्नमेंट, और पॉलिसी जो है
ये बिक गई है
मीडिया इंडस्ट्री जो है, प्लीज़ आप पॉलिसी अपनी बेहतर करें वगैरह वगैरह. यही रिसाइकल बातें चल रही होती हैं हर वक्त.
I think one of the things that our industry could also play on, I feel like things that work out in Pakistan, यहाँ पे people do not need to, and I mean it in the nicest way possible, कि general Bollywood की तरफ देखें तो there's like a certain image that sells, like यहाँ पे पाकिस्तान में ज़रूरत नहीं है to take off a lot of clothes, people will accept you regardless. हाँ, I mean that. आपकी heroines
do you live in this? Okay.
Yes, it's true.
That's true. आप सबूर अली अभी काम कर रही है, वो एक इंटरव्यू दे रही थी. सबूर
if the sleeve is even till here, people will be like, hey, we don't need to see that.
Yeah,
cut it out.
Exactly.
Give yourself a full sleeve.
हाँ, वो एक aspect of moral policing अलहदा side पे.
Those people themselves are consuming something else also on TikTok.
हाँ, वो moral policing other side पे. But I'm saying कि you can still tell stories is what I'm getting at. मतलब यहाँ पे एक और leverage ये भी है. सबूर अली was recently in a drama with some dude and the dude is like 5 years younger than her. हाँ,
खुशाल वाला.
Exactly. So यहाँ पे stuff like that is also happening. ठीक है. So I feel like कि एक तो people need to be cognizant of what society you're making films for. I'm not saying कि don't try artsy stuff or whatever, but also
one can try whatever they want, but you have to first and foremost understand and recognize, number one, where you're living, who your audience is.
Exactly.
If you want to have a sustained career, if you want to have a career that is a growing, not just in terms of work, but in terms of financially speaking, you have to first and foremost recognize these things.
Yeah.
इसी को recognize करने में जो है ना, a lot of the people sort of take time because they always aspire to be taking examples from other countries. Which is fine.
Which is also fine.
But
localize नहीं किया
उसको हाँ localize नहीं करते हैं.
Exactly.
तो localize करना बहुत 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 ज़रूरी है. And the sooner people sort of understand कि we need to sort of look inwards, तो the faster we will grow in that way.
Exactly. Because there are films being made that are being loved as well. So मतलब कायदे आज़म जिंदाबाद being one मैंने ज़्यादा नहीं देखी.
पैसे दे रहे हैं तुम्हें वैसे वो क्या?
असल में मैंने सिनेमा में जाके देखी. I don't like going to
मुझे भी
cinemas,
जाना
by the
था,
way.
मुझे भी देखना था.
Wैसे I miss going to cinemas. I mean,
Yes.
just watching the film, which is the
Absolutely.
last film I went to watch in the cinema. I don't remember.
Ford versus Ferrari.
Doctor Strange की जो the latest Doctor Strange जो आई थी, I think I went to watch
मैंने नहीं
that.
देखी अभी तक. I think TV पे भी बहुत interesting content बन रहा है. I really loved Sinfe Ahan. I loved the fact that it was a progressive script apart from कि
I
ख़वातीन
watched
को
a few episodes of
हाँ
that also.
कुटने के अलावा कुछ और हो रहा है. Like
I
there are
think,
women with
I mean,
dreams.
to be honest, there are producers and people who are trying in their own way, and I think they're trying with knowing the limitation that अच्छा ये पाकिस्तान की
Parizad was great.
है ना परिजाद.
Parizad was amazing.
Parizad.
Parizad मैंने सुना है hopefully there is going to be a season 2.
अच्छा.
Parizad
Potentially.
अहमद अली अकबर ही है उसमें.
हाँ, Ahmed Ali Akbar.
But the blackface just
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a.
If you get over it na,
I mean,
if
that
you
was
actually
good.
watch it,
No. I watched a few episodes. It was a nicely done show.
what I like about it is and what I feel like उस तरह की कहानियाँ और होनी चाहिए कि it's a overall आप कह लें एक feel good underdog story.
Yeah.
जो कि I feel like there is so much potential for
We love
more
that.
underdog
Pakistan
stories.
has and
होना ही
always
चाहिए.
was a underdog, probably still is. So like even in cricket or otherwise, so we love that.
Yes.
It's just in our blood. Always supporting
And
the
I'm
underdog.
hoping that drama will bring in more of those types of
Yeah.
experiments. अभी तक जो सास बहू चल रहा है वो तो चल रहा है. वो कभी भी नहीं रोकेगा.
वो कभी भी नहीं
वो कभी भी नहीं रोक
वो
सकता.
bread and butter है.
क्योंकि
Yeah.
सासस भी and bahus भी want to watch that.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while when there's a feel good underdog story
Yeah.
तो that's really good change.
जी बिल्कुल. अब वो ही ना आप चैनल चेंज करो आपको
And
अगर कहीं पे भी कुछ नजर आ जाए तो you I really like that.
And there are like different एक दो कुछ shows इस तरह आ जाते हैं जिसमें वही बात है कि आप जो norms challenge हो रहे होते हैं but ever so slightly ताकि
Ever so slightly, yeah.
लोगों को पता भी ना चले ताकि वो ये क्या हो रहा है.
But आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ये वो होगा ना
जी,
changes जो भी
बिल्कुल,
लेकर आने
exactly.
you have to think of it like this कि अगर आपने कोई भी progressive change लेकर आना है you have to think 10 years down the line 20 years down the line.
And sustain change.
Yes.
वरना तो
एकदम
कोई फायदा
करोगे तो
नहीं है.
again there won't be a
नहीं
Exactly.
sustain change तो वो तो बहुत मुश्किल है.
हाँ. यार वो उसमें एक सीन था सिनफे आहन में जिसमें मतलब आई लाइक द कल्चरल रेफरेंसेस. वो पश्तून बेटी है ठीक है वो घर से भाग गई है और वो बाप को पता चलता है तो वो डरती है कि मेरा बाप मुझे गोली ना मार दे. बट द ट्रांजिशन इन दैट आई फील लाइक दो स्टोरीज आर रियली मूविंग व्हेन यू शो देम देयर स्टोरीज एंड हाउ इट इज़ लाइक फॉर देम टू बी इन दैट सिचुएशन एंड देन द ट्रांजिशन. आई फील लाइक इट इनकरेजेस अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल to go ahead with that change. वो जब बलोच औरत उठाती है बंदूक और कहती है कि मैं उठाऊंगी तो मेरा बन जाएगा औरत का बन जाएगा.
that was a very strong dialogue.
Yeah man, it was so powerful.
See like उसमें यही होता है ना content creators usually have two options to go with.
Yeah.
Either they go with what is relatable
Yeah.
to what they feel is relatable.
Exactly.
Hence it would be कि बाप आएगा गोली मार देगा. Oh, it's so relatable. This is exactly what happens because it's always being reported in the news.
Yeah.
But then there is always the thing that is not being reported in the news, which there are also probably more examples of wherein parents understand or eventually come around to, or still they disapprove, yet they go with it.
Yeah.
ये वाली कहानियाँ इतनी
नहीं बताते.
बताई नहीं जाती because it's not high drama.
जी बिल्कुल.
It's the low key drama. ठीक है? So low key drama doesn't sell as much,
जी.
but
if it's packaged properly like
it
thoda
can
bahut,
be. वही ना exactly. It's how you are able to present it.
Yeah.
लेकिन high drama sells very good. आए चपेड़ मारे तो लोग ओए चपेड़ because होता यही है फिर लोग आपस में साथ बैठ के देखते हैं ना.
Yeah.
That group
that
watching
becomes-
experience is much more interesting when चपेड़े लग रही हैं.
But I also feel sometimes chapeding can be like low key as well. Like मैं बताती हूँ कैसे. I felt like Darlings. I don't know if you guys have watched
नहीं,
it.
I've not
अच्छा
seen
चलो
it
ठीक है.
yet.
Let's not talk about it.
लेकिन आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ दीज शोज में जो हाई की आप कह रहे हैं उसमें ये होता है करेक्टर को बस ब्लैक एंड वाइट में रखा जाता है बट द गुड शोज वो ग्रे एरिया को एक्सप्लोर करते हैं. सो दैट फादर आई डोंट नो क्या ट्रांजेक्शन थी. आई एम अज्यूमिंग उसने गोली नहीं मारी.
उसने सर पे हाथ रखा था.
So that shows. Sorry,
उसने
the
कहा
way you did that now made me laugh. That shows the empathy, the humanness of the
जी.
character because.
I also feel कि पाकिस्तान में टॉक शोज अच्छे बन रहे हैं. Like there's ताबिश हाशमी का शो and then there's एहसन खान कर रहा था टाइम आउट and और कौन करता है फूशिया पे मुझे उनके वो भी अच्छे लगते हैं, द रिव्यूज
Celebrity interviews and all of them, हाँ.
या देन देयर इज who else is there, फूशिया एक और भी है, द हॉट समथिंग हॉट
I love something hot.
या सो आई फील YouTube पे बहुत मजे का कंटेंट,
Galaxy Lollywood भी है.
Galaxy Lollywood भी
They
है.
do very
Galaxy,
good.
yeah.
I mean, they could like they do in-depth interviews, and matlab I've seen my mom watch a few like interviews of the celebrities she likes. So actually proper, if it's the same page, वो जो एक खातून और एक मर्द है वो different, वो बड़ा I think serious interview करते हैं, which is
Something hot वाले ना, हाँ, yes.
वही है.
They get in depth and they talk and they discuss, and then that's when you realize, अच्छा, actors aren't as simple as they look. They actually also have they also have thinking, they also have emotions, they actually also have all of these things. And the thing is कि वही वाली चीज़ ना कि आप जब TV में देखते हो, you're disconnected from that person, so you always assume whatever you want to assume. जब आप इनको एक्चुअल में रियल लाइफ में ऐसे इंटरव्यूज में देखते हो तो यू स्टार्ट रियलाइजिंग कि नो देयर इज मच मोर टू इट देन what you can just assume.
Yeah, and or what the media reports.
Yes, or what the media reports.
Yeah,
yes.
बिल्कुल.
Which is always, all of that is always also very black and white ना.
Yeah, बिल्कुल.
तो आप बस ये सोचते हो कि यार ये लोग सारे डम हैं, इनको कुछ पता ही नहीं है, ये सब जो है इंडस्ट्री तबाह कर रहे हैं, इस तरह चल रहा है, उस तरह चल रहा है.
I'm sure कुछ लोग हैं वैसे, but not everyone.
Those are select few who get into good positions and then they do their game.
Yeah.
Because of which a lot of people then get badnamify.
Yeah.
वो हैं चंदी, वो बस अच्छी जगहों में बैठे हुए हैं तो इसलिए वो अपना चला रहे हैं काम जिस तरह भी वो चला रहे हैं. हमारी जनरेशन ने उनको रिप्लेस करना है
इंशाल्लाह,
हम ही वो चेंज लेकर आएंगे.
Exactly.
Speaking of our generation, what do you like feel? क्या so like you started at Mangobaaz, right? And तब एक पूरी environment बहुत different थी जो पाकिस्तान में digital content creation की थी.
हम तो एक बबल में थे. We lived in a bubble.
Yeah, Mangobaaz was a bubble.
It's a bubble.
Yeah,
but it was in
but
terms of
a good one
in terms of the content you put out, it was something that worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It so what was Mangobaaz की vision थी to make content for the brands and all that and get eyeballs on it. You guys perfectly did that. I think probably you're one of the only platforms which ever achieved that. I mean, you were getting sponsored content, you were making your own content, which was interesting.
And Tili did that.
But
Tili
is backed by Dawn. I mean, I think,
yeah,
and they have huge production.
Yeah,
I love Tili. I'm so glad it exists in Pakistan. But I think it wouldn't.
I'm not.
क्यों?
Because they disrupted the game in the worst way possible.
हाँ, because like a big player comes in and then.
एमी का जो है वो जो नहीं था, हमारे अंदर यही बात शुरू हो गई थी जब हम एक काम कर रहे थे. It's doing fine, it's doing well. फिर Tili came and they upped the production game. ठीक है? प्रोडक्शन गेम तो आपकी है जिसकी वजह से आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट्स अ बैड थिंग, बट व्हाट्स अनफॉर्चुनेट इज ऑल द ब्रांड्स, एडवर्टाइजर्स एंड अस इंटरनली आल्सो स्टार्ट सेइंग यार अब हमें भी प्रोडक्शन अप करनी है, अब हम जल्दी जल्दी प्रोडक्शंस नहीं कर सकते हैं, अब हमें जो है प्रोडक्शन पे काम करना है रादर देन द कंटेंट वाज गिवन सेकेंडरी, आप समझ लें कि थॉट. ठीक है, सो मोर फोकस वाज बीइंग गिवन ऑन कि बाल कैसे लोगों के लग रहे हैं, लाइटिंग कैसी है, ये कैसा है, वो कैसा है, एंड देन दैट जो आप क्विक प्रोडक्शंस करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं जो कि सोशल मीडिया नाउ व्हाट इज इट एग्जैक्टली दैट एवरीबडी इज जस्ट मेकिंग नॉन स्टॉप, whether it be viral clips, memes, TikToks, ये सारी चीज़ें चल रही हैं, low effort, low production and just quick videos. That's what the social media was always supposed to be.
You're right. Huh?
But Tili said कि we're going to bring in that television element into the content game, which is fine. It was their brand, it was their thing. But it's unfortunate कि everybody else said ये हमें चाहिए बस, इससे कम नहीं चाहिए. We also want high production, brands खास तौर पे, agencies खास तौर पे.
Because वो भी television background और इसलिए background
exactly.
ना,
वो used to हैं television के कामों में, and they want a certain, it's always the look. More so than anything else.
जो हाँ जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, not in that sense जिस तरह वो कहा जाता है, but which looks fancy. लेकिन so शुरू में things were going good and then Tili वाली चीज़ जैसे आई, but then again फिर transition वापस आ गई low effort content पे, and that is because of TikTok I believe, or because of when Instagram took over with the
TikTok was not really relevant.
When did it come back to the low effort content? जब मैं वही कह रहा हूँ 2-3-4 साल बाद जब टिकटॉक आया था या इंस्टाग्राम में रील्स वगैरह बनना शुरू किया.
I think so. Like in the general sense you're talking. Yeah. That's what I feel like. People came back to the easier, quick content.
And so now, so it's very different for like 10 साल पहले आप थे Mangobaaz में.
नहीं
कितने साल पहले? 3
साल अभी हो गए
6 years,
हाँ
sorry.
6 years ago 6
तो
years
अब लाइक 6 सालों में आई थिंक इट्स बहुत काफ़ी बड़ा ट्रांजिशन पे रहा है एंड इट्स कीप्स ऑन चेंजिंग. तो इजंट एज अ कंटेंट क्रिएटर या कोई नया बच्चा स्टार्ट करना चाह रहा है, कोई एक टीम अपना कोई प्लेटफॉर्म चलाना चाह रहा है, तो इट्स isn't it very difficult to navigate around this right now? And obviously understanding that you have to make a, if not living, if you're doing it on the side कि अपनी जेब से पैसा ना जाए, break even हो जाए. So it's very difficult to navigate right now. और हम जो पहले पॉडकास्ट से भी पहले बात कर रहे थे कि वही बिकॉज ऑफ द डिफरेंट एजुकेशनल सिस्टम्स, वो आपका प्राइवेट स्कूल है, आपका मदरसा सिस्टम है, देन गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स एंड डिफरेंट चीज़ें हम पढ़ते हैं, डिफरेंट करिकुलम है, तो लिंक भी हमारी यूथ 64% है, बट आप चाहे जो कंटेंट बनाए या कोई बाहर का बंदा करे, वो हमारी
बिग डिवाइड
एंड दैट्स रियली हर्टिंग us in that regard.
Yes.
I mean, seriously भी hurt करिए कि we can't relate to our own population. But as a content creator आपको hurt करता है कि आपकी audience divide हुई होती है.
ऐसा ही है. लेकिन that also brings about opportunity कि आपको पता है कि आपने आपकी audience कौन है और कौन नहीं है. You can't appeal to everyone all the time. तो अगर हम भी एक किस्म का ये जो कुकिंग शो बना रहे हैं, हमें पता है दिस इज़ नॉट गोना बी वॉच्ड बाय अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल, बट जो भी हमारी ऑडियंस अभी तक बन चुकी है, that's also good enough in the sense के we're surprised that even this many people get us, you know, because we go into some weird tangents at times, and you know, if they get us and if they still want to watch us cook something whilst also have a fun time, so that means there is a small audience there. और आपको अपनी ऑडियंस बनानी होती है असल में इन सारी चीज़ों में. वक्त लगता है. इट्स जस्ट हाउ यू गो अबाउट इट. इफ़ यू जस्ट फील लाइक कि मैं एक चीज़ बनाऊंगा और रिलीज़ कर दूंगा और उसके लिए लोग बैठे हुए हैं, दैट्स नॉट द केस.
I think probably it is one of the most difficult times right now to be a content creator as well.
Yes,
at least in the digital space.
Yes and no. It depends. I would say कि people who are already in the content field get a feel के यार they get a feel के अच्छा अब चीज़ें जो हैं, अब देखें ना, lately I'll tell you Instagram पे बहुत ज़्यादा जो है growth हो रही है for people who are putting out reels at this present time. As soon as you see something like that, if you're going to execute on that, so then you'll reap the benefit. I don't feel like doing it, so I'm not doing it. So I'm remaining where I am.
But उस पे भी Yasser,
but if anybody notices this and takes that step, they're going to grow very fast. And there are examples, prime examples कि पाकिस्तान में there are several content creators who are growing very very fast.
And
अभी
they just
recently
do reels, I mean.
They're just because they saw कि reels में बहुत सारा हो रहा है growth. I'll give you काजी अकबर, अगर आपने नोटिस किया है कि नहीं, पॉडकास्ट में तो बिल्कुल उसका सही काम चल रहा था. अभी lately he is putting out so many reels and he's growing so fast as far as his Instagram account is concerned. Because he's understood कि यार ये algorithm, Instagram is pushing the reels because they want to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
He has a podcast?
Yes.
I love this guy. He says...
Yes. You've not seen his podcast?
I have not. I saw his reels and I continue watching them. I love this guy.
Yeah, he's made over 100 episodes. Like, he's made a lot of episodes.
Do you know this guy?
Yes. We met in Karachi.
As well.
Loki fan.
Yes. Loki fan? Who are you not a Loki fan of?
No, but
but
see, that explains it. मैं reels से I didn't know he had a podcast. But these 30-second reels he does, I mean, I love it. I think a lot
so this
of
is what
men...
I'm saying. So let's say, for instance, he's been at it also for a while now. See? So he's been making podcasts. He's been talking to so many people. And he's made also a nice group of friends in Karachi who are content creators who he's working with. And hota ye hai phir... he's recently realized कि यार Instagram is pushing its reels. So he's non-stop making reels and he's growing very very fast. Much faster than, let's say, all the effort that he put in before.
And वो podcast...
So he's working much smarter, huh?
Like now I'll go back and check out his podcast. So like people who keep following him then go back to his other content.
I'm not sure. I've not checked on that.
But
obviously उसका कोई trickle effect तो होगा लाजमी. उसका कुछ ना कुछ effect तो होगा कि लोग उसके podcast भी फिर ज़्यादा देख रहे होंगे.
Exactly, कुछ तो होगा.
And एक किस्म की organic growth हो रही है उसके लिए कि the people who are following him on Instagram who genuinely are liking his work on Instagram will definitely then go and check out his YouTube account and then potentially get exposed to all those conversations.
No, so you're right. If it keeps on changing.
So it really depends. How you're working on it. If you recognize the current trend and how it's working, and if you accept it and you go with it, तो yes, you have the potential to grow today also.
If you fight it, then obviously it's going to.
If you say कि नहीं मेरा अपना तरीका है, मैं अपने तरीके से ही करूँगा, जो कि हम यही करते हैं कुकिंग कियोस्क के साथ, तो हम अपने तरीके में फंसे हुए हैं, हम खुश हैं, उसी में फंसे रहेंगे. और हमने थोड़ा सा बीच में वो भी एल्गोरिथम के साथ भी खेलने की कोशिश की कि वी वर लाइक कि लेट्स डू वीकली अपलोड्स. वी डिडंट सी अ बिग डिफरेंस इन द पास्ट 2-3 months. So like, you know what, let's just go back to the way we were doing it. It was much more fun. We were getting a better response. Make the episodes longer, wackier, weirder, more entertaining, more fun, and nothing to do with cooking. And maybe we will, just have fun with it.
Yeah.
I sometimes felt like Top Gear had nothing to do with cars at a certain point, and I loved that show because even a person who's
I never watched it, but I completely get where you're coming from.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I don't know that much about cars, but I just watched it.
उनकी भी fandom बहुत like वो है ना, dedicated किस्म की
and
fandom
half of
है.
them are not like car fanatics,
No.
so don't know because it's just the things they did apart from the reviewing and all that,
Yes.
the messing wacky things they did. So I think it definitely has a market, and it probably has a cult following.
It does. मैं उस दिन like I want to cook something at home and
You literally.
मैंने अपने भाई से बात करी थी कि यार मैं ना क्या बनाऊँ, तो कहाँ से रेसिपी देखूँ. Like I was just thinking out loud and he goes cooking chaos.
नहीं.
क्या?
Did you check our channel?
He said कि शुगर लगा रहा था, कह रहा था cooking chaos देख लो. तो I'm saying yes.
No,
It
I
does
always tell
like
people, do not ever watch us for following any recipe.
yeah, of course.
It's not, that's not the point of the show.
Yeah.
The point of the show is to mess up or to have issues or problems or whatever, and they naturally always do happen.
Yeah. तो अब आप लोग कंटेंट की बात करके आप लोगों का दिल भर गया.
उस टॉपिक पे आ जाए.
मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ क्योंकि काफ़ी ज़्यादा यंग लोग हमें देखेंगे एंड आई वांट टू नो. यासिर, पहले तो एक तो वो प्रेशर होता है सब पे, हम पे कि शादी कर लो. इफ़ यू वांट टू शेयर अबाउट इट कि वो हाउ वाज, because you didn't get married in your 20s, how was that for you पहले?
Great.
Okay, so you were happy. तुम्हें नहीं फील हुआ कि जी why am I single, मेरे दोस्तों की शादी
होता है.
Okay, होता है.
ये on and off feelings आती हैं, नहीं भी आती हैं. You sort of, again, everybody feels all of these types of things.
ठीक है.
I felt them, of course.
Okay. And what would you say to yourself to make yourself feel better?
किस्मत में नहीं था.
किस्मत में नहीं है अभी. ठीक है. So recognizing it's not my time right now. Yeah, कि हर बंदे ने ज़रूरी नहीं है कि 20s में शादी करनी है.
In fact, I like the longer you stretch it, the better it can be.
Okay.
For certain people.
Explain the thought.
I have no idea. That's the thing. No, in
this
this regard, I don't know how to explain it.
ठीक है.
कि I feel like I've seen people who have gotten married younger.
And it has worked
and
out.
It's worked out okay.
बिल्कुल.
Sure, they might have had their ups and downs शुरू में, but that was what was needed for that relationship to work.
Yeah,
ठीक है.
बिल्कुल.
And there are other people like myself who got married much later, and that's also has its own. I feel like I was at the right stage when I got married.
Yeah. Do you feel that as a person you were more in control? You had a more understanding of yourself, like जितना बड़े हो जाओगे उतना आप settled होगे in yourself.
हाँ, वो तो natural है.
And does that make it easier to be in a marriage then, because you know where you're coming from? And
again, this all depends because
हाँ नहीं, तुम्हारे लिए कैसा था?
I feel like yes, because मुझे ये भी पता था कि compromise तो ज़रूरी है फिर भी, no matter what. No, but some people are set in their ways. In my age, majority of people are set in their ways, so they're like, okay, I want things like we should be like this.
Men?
Especially men. Yeah. Especially men.
Yeah.
100%. Especially men around my age, in the elder age, post 30. My dad is an example. I know for a certain, my dad was like set in his ways. My mom was molded to his ways.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना? And that was just how the previous generation worked. ठीक है? Every man was like, we will have life like this. This will happen. This will happen. And then initially, wives would be like, okay. And then with time, the wives would take over.
Strategy.
Over like, let's say when they're past their 40s और बच्चे भी हो गए, बच्चे भी थोड़े बहुत अपने schooling में set हो गए, then the wives get more importance and then they get their way and then the husbands have to mold to their. It's a very like I find it very comedic at times. कि जो husbands बहुत ज़्यादा strict और stubborn अपने तरीके कार में होते हैं, वही जाके बाद में they become flexible because then they feel confident in letting go of things, maybe.
Yeah, ये भी हो
Or
सकता
they're
है.
just too
Exactly.
tired of being strict for so
Maybe.
long.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. Again, I feel like what we're getting out of this is that shadi is not like one idea that fits all.
If you don't want to get married, don't get married. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do
and
that
if
to
you
someone
want to
else.
get married, do get married.
Huh? If you want to get married, get married. Don't want to
Yeah.
get married, don't get married. And try to make the best case you can to your family and friends and whosoever is pressurizing you.
Yeah.
And if they still don't listen, then go with it.
Yeah.
Get married. And if it doesn't work out, then tell your parents and tell your family, see, I told you so. And you didn't listen to me. I told you so. This is what I see. For me, arranged marriage was an issue for me.
ठीक है.
जिसमें I met a lot of रिश्ताज and my parents were after me कि यार रिश्ते भी होने चाहिए, रिश्ते meetings भी आप करो. If you can't find somebody for yourself, then let us at least do it for you.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, let's do that also.
ठीक है.
But I was always very wary कि यार I know myself.
Okay.
If things don't work out, I might be very conveniently, I'll be blaming them. And then I'll tell them कि यार आप लोगों ने ये suggest किया था, आप लोगों की वजह से. So knowing that about myself, I was like यार I should not be getting into an arranged situation. I should make that decision with my parents' approval. Even if initially they'll be like no, but then eventually I have to make them convinced. But that was the entire point of the way that I tackled things.
Yeah. ठीक है. I think अच्छी बात है कि
I think which is right, just to tell your parents later on, or anyone who's pressurizing you, I told you so. Why ruin someone else's life as well? I mean,
that's true.
So that, like,
I
people
didn't think
really
of it like that, but that's more important.
But like now, like let's assume people don't do that. I mean, but people do, sadly. I like people in our social circle as well do
इसको
that.
उर्दू में भी समझाओ प्लीज कि ये आप किसी और की जिंदगी पे भी इम्पैक्ट कर रहे हैं.
जो मैं कह रहा था वो गलत है असल में. अगर आप गो विद द फ्लो करके आप कबूल कर लेते हैं और फिर बाद में आप वही चीज़ बाद में अपने पेरेंट्स को बताना चाह रहे हैं, देखा मैंने कहा था आपको ये शादी नहीं करनी चाहिए थी, लेकिन आपके साथ किसी ने शादी तो की है ना, आप
उसका तो आप
उनकी भी तो जिंदगी है, उनके बारे में तो सोचना चाहिए.
डाइवोर्स वगैरह जिंदगी खराब करती है, बट स्टिल like टाइम एंड एफर्ट एंड इमोशनल.
I being an outsider would love to give you advice. But
हाँ.
I don't know what the hell is happening in my own life.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to give you advice and यही लोग इस तरह रेडी हैं. क्या हुआ, क्या मसला हुआ है, हाँ तो बताओ ना, मैं बताता हूँ या बताती हूँ क्या करना है. लेकिन अपना जो है ना वो चीज़ें जो चल रही हैं वो resolve नहीं होगी.
I'm क्या कहते हैं, guilty of that. I have a few friends who are married. I've given them marriage advice and I'm single. So that's a bad thing to do ऐसे.
And when Sajawal starts giving you advice, he doesn't stop. Like,
Yeah, you
वो
have had
सारी बातें बताएगा जो उसके दिमाग में आ गई.
So यार देखो, मेरी नीयत होती है कि help हो जाए.
हाँ, I know.
That's true also. You never know. Sometimes an inexperienced person gives an outside. हाँ, exactly. Perspective different हो जाता है. Yes.
I think वो भी बड़ा ज़रूरी है कि people will of course give advice and all of that, but yeah, while we need to be careful कि हम advice भी अगले से पूछ के दें, also like be okay with who you are and what your self, like what your inner world tells you कि ये option है मेरे लिए. It might not resonate with a lot of people, but also हमें सबकी approval के साथ ज़िंदगी गुजारने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती है. I feel. हाँ. तो बस ये या बस जी सियासत की बात नहीं करते हैं, हम मिस कराते हैं उसको. क्या करना
सियासत के बारे में बात हो सकती है.
नहीं ठीक है. मैं बस ये पूछना चाह रही थी कि आजकल जो चल रहा है, एज समबडी हु इज लिविंग इन पाकिस्तान, एक तो हमारा बहुत ज़्यादा प्रिविलेज है कि हम उस जो ट्रेजिडी हुई है उससे अफेक्ट नहीं हुए हैं, बट देन ऑल्सो एट द सेम टाइम वी हैव द कैपेसिटी एंड द स्पेस टू थिंक अबाउट व्हाट इज़ गोइंग ऑन. ठीक है, पॉलिटिकल केओस में इन माय ओपिनियन तो चल रहा है. मुझे तो समझ नहीं आती कि इन लोगों का कोई विजन भी है. मतलब आई डोंट सी द पॉइंट. अगर मुल्क के हालात इतने ख़राब हैं तो वाई आर दे नॉट सिटिंग ऑन द टेबल एंड लाइक डिस्कसिंग ऑल ऑफ इट इंस्टेड ऑफ जस्ट फाइटिंग इट आउट. आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, बट लाइक
द गवर्नमेंट इज सिटिंग बट दे आर टेलिंग PTI you don't sit with us.
या मतलब सारे. So like I don't know, like how do you see the situation? What turn would you like Pakistan's democracy to take at this point? Or like what understanding do you feel can people or people in power inculcate in themselves कि यार ये चीज़ है जो ज़रूरी है इस वक्त, instead of it just being a power show. हाँ, गुंडागर्दी मुझे लगती है. मतलब
यही चलेगा, चलता रहेगा at least for the next. हाँ, जब तक कि ये generational change नहीं होगा एक किस्म का, then we'll maybe see maybe some change.
Exactly, when the youth sort of is in positions of power.
जो लोग अपनी जगह बैठे हुए हैं ना, it's not like they're going to change. It's not like they're all of a sudden going to, हाँ यार हम अपना काम नहीं सही करें, हमें थोड़ा सा बेहतर करना चाहिए. ऐसे तो नहीं होने वाला. जो चीज़ें चल रही हैं, जिस तरह चल रही हैं, वो चलती रहेंगी. चेंज किसी भी लीडर में कोई होप नहीं है. Hopeless on that end. Only hope within yourself. Don't have hope on other people. Expectations अपनी आप जीरो में रखो दूसरों के वाले से.
लेकिन यासर that also impacts के आप फिर फैसला करो कि आपने पाकिस्तान में रहना है, ठीक है. जब आपने फैसला कर लिया, आपके काफ़ी लोग तो वो है ना जिनके पास स्पेस भी नहीं होएगी कि वो ये they have to stay in पाकिस्तान, ठीक है. तो वो उन लोगों के लिए फिर क्या आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड कि एक तो इकोनॉमी की कोई सूरत हाल नहीं है, आप फिर
I don't think we're in that, like I was reflecting on this, I'm not sure we're in that space where we can make any conclusions at this stage. Things are still ongoing.
सही है, ठीक है.
इसलिए you know
कि तुम कह रहे हो कि अभी देखो
चीज़ें, हाँ अभी चीज़ें इतनी सारी साथ साथ चल रही हैं कि आने वाले 6 से 9 महीने या 1 साल हमें देखना होगा कि क्या होगा. Like there is too many things at play.
ठीक है.
So many things and not just locally, internationally. ठीक है ना. तो उस लिहाज से it's like a wait and see type approach that I have in my mind कि you can't really tell where things are going.
Exactly, but they look hopeless is what we're seeing.
Yes, look, but one should never.
We don't know कि 1 साल बाद क्या हो सकता है. Of course, we believe in miracles, you guys.
मैंने एक वो जो नहीं है मुजम्मिल का पॉडकास्ट था जो उसने आखिरी किया था before he said I'm taking a break. He recently had an operation and stuff. तो उसने हाँ अपना इस्लामाबाद वाला. तो उसने ये बात की थी कि Pakistan, I'm paraphrasing, but Pakistan is in a big, whatever problems that it's going through, it will probably continue to go through its problems, and that's justified also. We're still a young nation compared to the others that are in the first world, and they've gone through this chaotic times in the 1800s and the 1700s and the 1600s and all those times. तो उनको तो काफ़ी वक्त लगा है अपनी डेमोक्रेसी को भी डेवलप करने में और लेकर आने में टू द पॉइंट वेयर इट इज़ टुडे. एंड इवन देन यू डोंट रियली फील लाइक certain democracies are good and there are certain democracies that are not so good, जिसमें lobbying इतनी सारी होती है. तो वो what kind of democracy is that really? कहने का मेरा मकसद ये है कि we might be going through a dark phase right now, but मुजम्मिल ने ये कहा था कि maybe 2050, 60, 70 में जाके चीज़ें are only going to, it's inevitable कि चीज़ें बेहतर होंगी because of these devices and technology and connectivity and transparency and accountability and all of these things that come into mind ना, ये सारी चीज़ें automatically trickle in होना शुरू होंगी into society. It's a matter of time. And the things that are going wrong in society will hopefully get exposed to a certain level. And maybe there will be further penetration of education into all segments of society. तो ये चीज़ें वक्त की बात है. कितना वक्त लगेगा, that's the big question.
अच्छी बात है. I'm
the
glad
people who are willing to push to just solidify themselves and go power through will eventually reap the benefits from maybe down the line 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the line.
Exactly.
If you're not dead by then, but yes.
Exactly. But also I'm glad कि कभी-कभी होता है ना, डर जाते हो सियासत के बारे में बात करने से भी, because you know it can get a little toxic. But I feel कि अच्छी बात है, ये गुफ्तगू करनी चाहिए एक दूसरे के साथ. because कभी-कभी हो रहा होता है ना कि आप hopeless feel कर रहे हो in that moment and you talk to somebody and that person brings back hope in for you. So I feel again going back to people that can sort of deal with your negativity as well and be like, okay, you know.
I feel like वो जो मैंने recently वो भी सारे podcast जो लग रहे थे ना, जो कराची के मेयरल जो elections अभी होने हैं और उसमें जमात इस्लामी वालों ने काफ़ी अपनी बातें की थी कि यार we have internal democracy which translates to overall inside the party there is democracy. What other party can say कि they have democratic forms of elections happening within the party itself? None of them do. ठीक है. Or even if they do, there is a lot of game play happening inside it. तो वही वाली चीज़ है कि we have so many other bigger issues at play जो कि नाज़रीन जन लाइट चली गई है क्योंकि
हम पाकिस्तान में रहते हैं.
दूर आई हेard फ्रांस में भी लोड शेडिंग होना शुरू हो गई है.
फ्रांस में भी हो सकती है भाई, हमारे यहाँ हो सकती है तो फ्रांस में क्यों नहीं हो सकती? तब्दीली आ नहीं रही, तब्दीली आ गई.
फ्रांस में भी पहुंची है.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, share and subscribe.